He scoured the umbral plains, seeking vengeance against the Dark Lords who had wronged him. And those that tasted the bite of his sword named him the Doomslayer.
Have you ever wanted to have an internet nobody compare two polar opposite games in the same franchise together as part of a contrived month of videos about said game franchise, only to conclude with his uninformed, unqualified opinion for you to listen to and agree with, lest he block you on all forms of social media and kill your fucking family? Because you're getting that, whether you like it or not. Now hold down your brother for me, he's a squirmer. No, I won't really disembowel your brethren. That was joke. Unless you want me to, but that's a different situation altogether. Welcome back to Doom Month for the third time. We're back at it again talking about the Doom games. You already know how the heck it be, brother. But this time, things are a bit different. I'm gonna be comparing the two games we have left to cover in this franchise of demonic debauchery, Doom 3 and Doom. The 2016 one. But my reasoning for this is that these two are very different games that set out to do very different things, but had one thing in common: being Doom games. And in my journey of talking about all the Doom games, I've definitely developed my own taste for them and reasons to why I enjoy them that I've expressed in videos prior. Now, I'm not here to criticize one or the other for being not a real Doom game, because that'd be dumb. I don't really like that mindset. I think that every individual game should be judged through what they individually set out to do and be. Or you could say, the way they present themselves. This comparison premise is why the video will be a bit more structured, and why we'll be starting off looking at these games. Doom 3 came out in the early 2000s, the first Doom game we're covering that was released in this century. But more specifically, Doom 3 released in August of 2004, coming about in a time when video games were in massive transition. What's neat about this release window, though, was that experimentation with the genre was plentiful. No one really knew what they were doing yet. So in that environment, Doom 3 had room to be something new and interesting. It was marketed as a survival horror Doom. Its trailers featured both a mysterious tension and yet heart-pounding action. Kind of a strange duality there, but we'll get more into that later. Trailers start off slow, introducing the core concepts: the UAC, Union Aerospace Corporation, shady experiments, mistakes were made, and now we're fucked. But Doom 4, I guess? I'm just gonna call it 2016. Released in May of 2016, it, fucking rocked everyone's world. Rocked my fucking socks off, dude. In a time where many feel like games can sometimes be a bit complicated, Doom seemed like a sign from the divine. Simplistic, hardcore, intense were the implications here. And with editing that's honestly deserving of a fucking award, Doom 2016 looked like a wild ride from hell. That's a good thing. But presentations are a product of intent. And with intent comes... Doom 3 completely started over in the storytelling department. That title seems a bit of a strange name in retrospect then, as it's anything but a sequel. Its inclusion of such elements like audio logs and actual characters made it feel like a more developed world than any other Doom game I'd yet played, but something was missing. And for a while I couldn't really figure out what that was. The game wanted me to be antsy, and I was antsy. A bit anxious too, as I heard the game was scarier. It was neat to finally see the demonic invasion happen in one of the games. That was fun to watch, but when I actually started walking through the dimly lit halls, I realized what it was. Excitement. I wasn't very excited at all to hear about any of this shit. It was just like slightly interesting. And I don't know why it didn't prompt me to feel more excited, and that could very well be my fault and not the game's, but the loss of that really made me not enjoy my experience as much as the other Dooms. Doom 2016 is much more interesting in my opinion. Remember how at the end of my last video when I was talking about Doom 64, I said that Doom Guy decided to stay in hell to prevent further attacks? Yeah, well, in this game, you wake up in a UAC chamber, breaking out of your containment and fucking artifact-like sarcophagus. Your marine suit is also treated like an ancient relic. I think I'll just let you draw your own conclusions from here. But how fucking awesome is that? Yeah, artificial intelligence, a lady who fucks everyone over, sure. The story's there if you care about it, but honestly, you can completely ignore it if you so desire. I certainly don't desire that, but that was definitely an aspect of the original games. If you didn't care, you had the freedom not to. In Doom 3, you kinda had to care to really enjoy it, and I sorta did, but not really, man. And due to these differences, they obviously led to a big difference in With a premise like survival horror Doom, Doom 3 can only be expected to be slower and more scare-heavy than previous installments. This game is very dark as in visually, and that serves well to keep you guessing about what's around every corner. However, this is sort of where a disconnect arises. The action-packed shooting mixed in with this haunting feeling was a bit strange. I'm not very sure how to describe it, but for some reason I just wasn't a huge fan of the combination of what felt like pure horror and shooting the shit out of baddies. Something about the two extremes clashed for me real hard, like a Big Bang Theory tolerating any good piece of media. The two just don't feel right together for me. In Doom 2016, while it definitely has a bit of mystique in terms of story, for the most part, you're gonna be living every Vietnam vet Catholic minister's wet dream, deliciously demolishing demonic douchebags. It has some pretty nice visual variety in levels and enemy design too, and even while the pretty levels are nice to look at, this lends itself well to have you focus in on the enemies and the action. But this action of Doom 2016 and the previously mentioned horror elements of Doom 3 both seek to fulfill their Doom 2016 served very much as a return to form for the franchise. While Doom 3 wanted to give the series its own spin on things, it can't be denied that the original game's main purpose was to function as Hell-Wrecking Simulator 1993. While the original games had their spooky moments and tried to be tense rather often, I don't believe it was ever their #1 intent to be scary. I think it was to deliver action-packed demon destruction. I love this aspect more than the spooks, so I favor Doom 2016 in this regard. I certainly respect Doom 3 for trying something different for this series though, but I have to concede when it comes to my love for the way Doom 2016 handles itself. It just wants to let you kick some ass, and that's definitely enough for me, leading into my preference in Doom 2016 wants to let you kick some ass, and goddamn does it let you. The fast-paced gameplay it tried to reinvent is catalyzed with the addition of glory kills, which supplement the combat system through what initially seems like a novelty. But the more you get used to it, the more convenient you find it, and you realize it mostly serves to help keep a satisfying flow to combat. It's very fun. Like, take it from someone who wasn't a huge fan at first, it really does grow on you. On the other hand, Doom 3 is a bit jumbled. Is it an entertaining experience? Yeah. Does it deliver on feeling like survival horror? I guess that'd depend on who you ask, but kind of. For me, I personally feel like Doom 3 wasn't too sure what it wanted to be, as I've touched upon before. And the marketing made it seem like it was even more of a horror fest, like you were going to be stalked by the Hell Knight the whole time or something, but no, it's just a regular enemy. The mix of marveling at the badass killing of demonic entities and the horrifying, mysterious angle it takes is just strange to me. I like it, I think sometimes a more subtle approach is neat, but man do I prefer the in-your-face attitude, unapologetic depravity, subtlety of a South Park episode that is Doom. Doom 2016 knows what it is, but Doom 3 I feel like just had a hard time balancing its tone. However, while we're talking execution, if simplicity is what I inferred from Doom 2016 trailers, there must have been a teensy bit of miscommunication. To be fair, I gotta shit on this one a little bit too, because while the game is certainly simpler than 3, Doom 2016 still has some weird RPG elements that took me a while to be okay with. Weapon mods, ability augmentations, I didn't know what the hell to think when I initially saw all this. And your screen lights up with all sorts of extra notifications unless you turn them off. It's honestly just strange. But I warmed up to the RPG elements. They're pretty basic anyway, but I did feel a bit robbed of a new bare bones Doom experience. But at least it has good. Doom 2016 is pretty dang pretty. While there's never a shortage of browns and reds, Doom still finds ways to keep itself visually engaging, whether that's through the brilliant enemy redesigns, I love the imps and cacodemons in particular, or the strangely stunning environments. Like, I don't know what it is, but the colors in this game were occasionally reminding me of like Mirror's Edge. Shit was prettier than it had any right to be. The game looks realistic, sure, but it's still relatively cartoony, which is fucking cool. It feels like they really went to a lot of effort to make sure the game was full of interesting colors and fun things to look at. Like, look at this lava, dude! Who's up for an accidental swim? Look at how Doom Guy does a goddamn Terminator 2. This game is just oozing personality. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for Doom 3, but when considering what they were going for, it does work. The survival horror aspect means the design should creep you out more, which explains why the imps look like gray alien humanoids, why arachnotrons were replaced with trites, why cacodemons look like aliens, and why a lot of other old school enemies besides Hell Knights were just replaced with weirder ones. The demons just altogether look scarier, usually colored using tones that resemble flesh, and often implementing some kind of body horror. The Lost Souls are still around, of course, and they look fucking ridiculous, and they still can suck my fucking cock. Doom 3 is reminiscent of Doom 64 when it comes to its A lot of its music is droning ambience that serves to both frighten and tense things up. So, I'm not really on board. I kinda was okay with it in Doom 64 because it was new and almost a bit refreshing, but just adding it to everything else Doom 3 had to offer made the music a bit forgettable to me. Sure, it has its moments, but for the most part I wasn't a huge fan. Now the sound design on the other hand is actually fucking amazing. The demon sound cues and sound effects are really damn good, and the weapons sound decently satisfying. But here's also where Doom 2016 completely outdoes 3. Not only is the sound design again fantastic, but the musical score by Mick Gordon is one of the most fitting game OSTs I've ever heard. From shrieking guitars to blaring synths, the Doom OST is nothing short of incredible. And don't lie, it being performed live was the best goddamn part of the 2016 Game Awards. Look at Mick Gordon. He is having such a great time. Overall, these two games are extremely different, almost to the point where it really made no sense for me to even make this fucking video this way. Personally, I prefer Doom 2016, but you've probably been able to gather that for a while now. I just feel like it fully embodies everything I love about old school Doom, revamped and improved for the modern era. But I tried to give Doom 3 credit where I could, because it's a good game too. Sorry if you expected me to really tear into it or something, but I respect it for what it is. While I enjoyed it, I don't know if I'll play it again. I'll certainly play the 2 remaining campaigns I actually haven't yet, but honestly a single playthrough was enough for me. But Doom 2016 I can see myself replaying more than once, especially with so much extra shit they shoved in, like these little Doom Marine collectibles. Doom guy even fist bumps him sometimes. I mean, come on, what's not to love? Forgetting this video's premise for a second, I just wanted to acknowledge, after going through the entire Doom catalog over the past month, I have to say, it's plain to see how influential the series has been over the years. Check this out. This is a companion CD-ROM jewel case for Doom from 1994. My buddy Jab owns this, and he was nice enough to record this footage for me. This contained level maps, cheats, and tons of other crazy awesome extras. Just looking at this is so weirdly satisfying after playing them all. And I recently got my hands on a copy of the first Doom book. I started reading it, and it's actually pretty dang good. Okay, so I had to record an add-in because E3 just happened, and Bethesda basically announced a sequel to Doom 2016 called Doom Eternal. And as you can imagine, I'm pretty happy about that. I like the route they're going. I'm pretty sure, I guess, revisiting the idea of hell on Earth, kind of from Doom 2, sort of. So yeah, I don't know, I'm looking forward to that. You know, it's gonna be a good time. And surprise, mother fricker! Because I was a lazy ne'er-do-well, this video is actually releasing in 2018, the 25th anniversary of Doom. On December 10th, the franchise will be exactly 25 years old. It's crazy, dude. And since I mentioned it in the first video, I might as well here too. On November 8th of this year, Half-Life turns 20. And apparently soon we're getting a finished version of Black Mesa as well. What a year. All we need now is for Gabe Newell to descend from his 24-karat gold mansion in space and announce, you know the one. I don't know, man. Something about Doom will always stick with me. The simplistic and weirdly honorable premise it rests upon is so intriguing and fascinating, which is why, getting back on topic, I have to admit, with insane heart-pounding combat, a certain degree of customization, and terrifying encounters, I'd more than happily say that Doom 2016 gets the Adamnator stamp of superior modern demon slaying simulator. Just don't tell Doom 3, I'm not sure his little heart could take it. Also, I don't want him to kill me.
I'm killing the monster.